All right, Shalom. I'd like to start off by giving all praises, honors, glories due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Orkaha Dash. I want to give double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders, great millstone, who rule and teach well. And last but not least, I want to give my peace, blessings, and salutations to the whole elect, starting with your believers, the men, women, and children, and also you fellow laborers out there, you prophets and you teachers that make their bodies as a living sacrifice. To you all, I say shalom, and may the blessing of election be upon you and your house. Shalom to the hopeful elect. It's not Daniel, the seventh chapter. And I'm going to start at verse 1. It says, in the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel Allah had a dream. Had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. So, knowing the history of Daniel, Daniel was like when we go into the history of the Bible, right? Daniel was somebody who was known as a governor over the provinces of Babylon. I think we go into the history, right? Uh, the ancient Babylonian Empire had about, I think it was 127 provinces. Okay. So they had 127 provinces, right? That was ruling over the known world. Okay. And Daniel was the minister of those different places, right? He was a known governor. Now, during that time when Daniel was made governor, he had many dreams, right, of different kingdoms, and he will bring them to what? Belshazzar, Belshazzar is his Babylonian name. And Nebuchadnezzar, okay, and he will break down these dreams, right? We go into the story about Daniel, lion's den. You had what? You had those men, those wise men, right, that hated Daniel for his wisdom, for his knowledge, and they tried to set him up, right? Because they said, look, if you go and do this, if you fast and pray to God, will put you to death. But they ended up returning upon their own heads. Okay, so these are just accounts of what our forefathers went through, right? As what? As an epiphany. That's a hard word to say. An epiphany, as an epiphany, or let me see, as a an example, really, as an example for us, those that are in the faith. Let me go to I think it's in the book of Romans. Great. This is Romans 15, verse 4. It says, for whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning. So you had different accounts, right? Different accounts of what men went through, right? That are written in the scriptures. Okay. And they have the problem, right? You have the conflict that they go through, right? Then you also have the solution that comes towards the end. One book I like to think of is the book of Judges, because in the book of Judges, right? In the book of Judges, you have this revolving thing of Israel, right? They'll get in trouble. Okay. They'll be, captives under a different nation. They'll go through a hard bondage. And then what? They get delivered towards the end. The Lord always raises a savior. So that's also something to keep in mind, because right now we have already passed through the conflict stage, but we're going towards what? The solution. Okay. Scripture says in the book of Romans, Israel has not obtained that which he's seeking for, but the election have obtained it, and the rest are blinded. That's that solution. All right. Everybody's looking for a solution. When you look throughout the earth, right, you see all the animals beating themselves. Okay. A lot of the animals are being pushed out of their natural habitats. Okay, because they're, what society is doing is they're building a lot of urban developments, and they're pushing all the animals within this whole area out to different habitats, and it messes up the ecosystem. Right, which the ecosystem, some people call it, the geo means earth, right? But when you go into zoology, right, going into that, you had animals that were living in this land before. Now they have to look for different habitats that are messing things up. Okay, not only talking about that, but when we go into the politics of everything, right? People are getting tired of voting for somebody, which I'm not really into politics, but it's something that you have to understand, because politics is important, right? When you go into the book of Revelation, right, you have Revelation. I believe that is the like a lamb. I think that's like the nah, not that's not Revelation 9th chapter. My memory is kind of foggy right now, but you had scripture that states what two horns like a lamb, but he spake as a dragon, right? So people have always just had, what you call it, choice and the options. But really, these options have led to nowhere. Okay, you have a lot of MAGA people, right? You have a lot of MAGA people that they are now starting to leave, right? They're now starting to leave off for the Republican Party. Okay, that's what they're doing. They're starting to leave off from the Republican. All right, and also you have people from the Democratic Party who have switched over, right? And they're seeing that there's really no solution. Okay, that's the thing. It's not only here; it's also in France because I remember in the time when they had the Macron scandal, right? We had those two different parties with the Macron scandal. Um, and I don't know exactly how the political system goes in France, but I know in France they have a lot of political parties. But there was one party, I think it's called it's like socialist something, right? Le Pen, Le Pen, right? Marie Le Pen is a French lady, and she was essentially like Donald Trump, French, right? And he was making a lot of promises saying that he's going to fix up France and migration issues and all these different things. But she ended up losing. Now it's the same thing in Germany. So people have now started to realize that voting leaves nowhere, right? And you could defer to a, disagree, right? You could disagree or not, but the proof is in the pudding because time and time again, people have been voting, right, for policies, and the policies they somewhat get better, but it comes back full circle, right? People don't know, but the whole migration issue started with Obama, right? But Trump came in. So they always create a conflict and they provide a solution. That's what they do. All right. But that's where the nation of Israel comes in because we are not supposed to continue in this hamster wheel. All right. We're not supposed to continue this hamster wheel. I mean, besides your 9 to 5 job, right? Besides your 9 to 5 job, you have people that go to their 9 to 5 job and they do, they go to work, they have fun with their buddies, but after later on a weekend, right? They do what? They go and party, they hang out with friends, they go and party, they hang out with friends, do all these different things. So after that whole party is over on the Sunday, they're like, fuck, man, the party is over, I gotta go back to work. So it's just a continuous cycle, it's a hamster. Okay, it's a hamster wheel. And that's what people, right? Let's go to Isaiah, the 24th chapter. Take off our glove. It's about people. You know, I don't mind.
I don't know which way to walk. I know you can be pulling yourself for like that. I'm sorry.
Like I said, I don't mind. So Isaiah 24, this is Isaiah 24, verse 7. It says the new wine morning, right? The new wine morning is talk about that new way of living that has been foreign from the earth, right? Starting with the Edomites, Esau, Edom. He has brought, okay, a new wine in the earth. Okay, he has brought a new wine in the earth, right? Which is what this new way of living. Because back in the ancient world, right, women didn't wear jeans. ah, she got good jeans. But yeah, seriously, women didn't wear jeans. They wore dresses, and even going back then, they had gowns. The men had gowns, right? The whole ancient attire. but things have been flipped upside down. Things have been flipped upside down, right? And has been made different. Okay, divine language, right? Divine is talking about the people, right? The divine goes to who's that? Jeremiah, right? I think that's Jeremiah 2. Jeremiah 2 talks about what that new wine talks about that it talks about that open that is right with the old wine. I think of the wild and the olive tree, the wild olive tree. Excuse me. All the Mary are the decide the mirth tablets cease. Right, the word tablets talking about the joy within the place as that cease. Okay, those of them that rejoice at ended, because now we're heading to a season, right? Which you got people being ready for festivals, right? December, Christmas, all that Saturnalia, right? Then the new year comes in and they just repeat the cycle. But if you recall 2025, right? I remember I was with Elder Prashad and we were getting ready because we went to the Green Turtle. Okay. We went to the Green Turtle and we were eating down there and we were looking at people and a lot of people are sad, you know? A lot of people are sad and upset, right? Upset that things were going well. A lot of people were upset about whatever's going on in their life. Okay. And you know, when New Year's came in, there was a lot of reports. You had what's going on over there in Louisiana, right? Over there in New Orleans, over there in New Orleans, right? You had the that crash with that festival over there on French Quarter, right? The guy came in, he ran his truck, killed a lot of people. That was reported. They also had some things going on right at the side. So it was a mournful New Year's. You know, it wasn't happy, it wasn't festive. Okay. Verse 8, the mirth of tabrets ceasing, the noise of them that rejoice and the joy of the heart ceasing. So the musicians, everybody's in mourning. All right. People have ceased from that joyful spirit. They should not drink wine with song, right? Because back in the ancient world, right, you had these places called inns. And you had these places called inns where you drink wine, right? And you had something called like a bar. Bar is like a music order. And you would play music on it. Yeah, so see that in Vikings, right? People had to come to sing and have, right? And the representation for these bars now, these modern day bars, when we go to these bars, most of them are empty because there was a time and place where you as a young guy, right, you were looking out, going out to looking to have some fun. And when you be there, you go down, you sit down, you talk to the woman, you meet a friend, right? You guys are young, but you don't need to see that anymore because women, the culture has shifted, right? And that's all due to social media, but it's really with wine that's being produced. It's now men and women are being pitted against each other, right? Men hating women, women hating men. Okay, that's also causing the population to go down because nobody really wants to start a family. And not even go ahead and talk about the cost of the economy, right? You have people that are just struggling to get by, right? I was reading a report where somebody was making six figures, which is like 71,000 after taxes in both states, all the states, right? Um, 70K is not really enough to get by nowadays. Okay, now if you scrutinize the budget, your spend right? You don't get the latest car, you don't go out and buy a Mercedes and the GLA and all these different things, right? If you scrutinize your habits, and then yeah, you'd be okay. But for a lot of people, they love spending because America, like this is society alone, it's not really like that in other places. You know, like Italy, they do have some fashionista, right? Because over there in Milan, they have a designer plaza. That's where a lot of designer come from Milan, like Giuseppe, right? Louis Vuitton, okay, all these different big artists, name brand designers, right? Ferragamo, Gucci, okay, Prada, they all come from Milan, right? Which they get produced in different countries. But that's besides the point, right? There's a keeping up with Jones type of vibe in America instead of just, okay, just living within the means. So you had that going on. People are complaining that jobs, salaries are not enough to support their lifestyle because all the commercials. You go downtown, see a lot of commercials, advertising, right? Oh, come buy this. You know, American Eagle outfitters. We have those seasons, which that city city commercials. I seen it. I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. It was just a play on words, but a lot of people got upset. So America is built off of capitalism, right? Um, that's really how the economy floats. Okay, and the economy right now, well, the whole government shutdown is over. But at one point in time, the GDP, right, per capita, right, which is like the gross domestic product, people were not spending enough money within the economy, right? So the circulation of the money within the country was decreasing. Why? Because we're not getting paid. There were not a lot of jobs. Okay. Let me go back to Isaiah the 24th chapter. This Isaiah 24, verse 9, it says, they shall not drink wine with their song, right? They shall not drink wine with a song. So people are mourning over their misfortune. Okay. There are a lot of misfortunes that happens in life, but at one point in time, right back in the old days, people would what? People would have a support system, family members, like friends. When you go back to the 70s, right, even during that time when drugs were being pushed throughout America, throughout the low income neighborhoods, right, which is our people, you had what? You had people that were more community oriented. Okay, they had a sense of community. If a kid was acting up within the neighborhood, everyone knew about it. But what? That kid got his ass beat. They came in, beat that kid's ass. And took, Mr. Joe and Mrs. Mariana that was acting up. Okay, and that put fear in the kid. But nowadays, these people are acting lawless. It's like what? The love of money, the love of many, like blacks and gold. Like another many is blacks and coded and coded because what? Maybe last down. You have came to a point where they love themselves. That's what they have to understand. But Isaiah 24, verse 9, it says, they shall not drink wine with a song. Strong drink shall be favored to bring the drink. Strong drink is usually like what? Go ahead and get yourself vodka. 60% alcohol, vodka. Go ahead and get that. All right. Drink it down. And now, look, I'll say this. Somebody that's walking with a bottle of vodka that's like 60%, that's somebody that's down bad. I'll tell you that. Right? But there's a time where you gave somebody a strong drink and they felt better. Oh, shit. Shit. But he gives somebody a strong drink now, and that should be good, right? Because it's not the same anymore. Things have gone down. There's a scripture in the book of Ezra, right? Talks about how the age, weaker age. And second Ezra 14 to 17, right? It says, for look, actually, let me start at verse 16. It said, for yet greater evils than those which thou hast seen shall be done hereafter. For yet greater evils than those which thou hast seen happen shall be done thereafter. So there are greater evils that are in the world, right? Why? Because the Lord is getting ready to what? Close the curtains on this wicked society. Okay, verse 17. For look how much the world shall be weaker through age, right? The world shall be weaker through age because the world is getting weaker because the earth is getting softer and softer. Not only that, but men have started the what's the word? Deteriorate, right? And have started deteriorating. Women have become childish. It's not an ancient word, bro. Women started thinking like a woman at the age of like 10, 12 years old. Like she was doing it. So look how much the world shall be weaker with age, so much the more shall evils increase upon them that dwell therein. And you read that again. It says, "For look how much the world shall be weaker from age," right? The world becoming weaker from age, time. So much the more evil shall increase. So much the more shall evils increase upon them which dwell therein. All right. For the time is fled far away, and leasing is hard at hand, and now hasteth vision to come, which thou hast seen. Because it says in the book of Habakkuk, right? It says, the vision is yet for a point of time, at the end it shall speak and not lie, though it tarry, wait for it shall surely come. That vision is what all the prophets have seen, right? In the time where that vision was closed up, when you go into the book of Daniel, right? The Lord told Daniel, look, seal up the book, for that vision is closed. Because why Israel, let's go to the book of Malachi, shall dwell without an ephod. It's in Hosea 3 verse 4. It says, for the children of Israel shall abide many days without a king, right? Without a king, without a prince, without sacrifice for our king, right? So they say we had no king of season, but our real king is our God. Prince being King David, right? All these different names. We had 144,000, right? The prophets. Without sacrifice, right? Which that ultimate sacrifice was going to tradition that our forefathers kept. They have the lamb, right, without blemish, up to uh up to some age, which I can't really remember. I'm not gonna say the one thing. But that sacrifice was real sacrifice without child. But before he came on the scene, right? Israel did not have a sacrifice. Why? Because they acted just like the Greeks. That's in the book of Psalms where it says, Israel has mingled among the heathen and have learned their works, and now shall they be as a vessel where there is no pleasure. Okay? And without a sacrifice and without an image, right? Because we were created in the image of the Most High, meaning that that image is His likeness, how it's done that goes into the image. It's like how we saw image, what that digital transformation, the digital age, that digital that influence the world, you just do the Quran, right? You have different services like 5G, right? We're going into 6G that's going to be implemented into the world, right? That's going to be used to run that system. Okay. And you had this digital ID system that's going to be used for bartering. Okay. And without an ephod and without tariff, Afterwards shall the children of Israel return, right? The children of Israel, the children of Yashwala of Israel return and seek the Lord, the power, their power, right? Which is what you see now. That's right? Seek the Lord, their power. We go to the book of uh let me see here. Hosea 1, verse 10 says, yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, right? Which cannot be measured for number. Okay, so the children of Israel is everywhere about the word, right? And it shall come to pass that in the place where it said unto them, we are not our people, there shall be said unto them, you are the sons of the living power. Okay, the sons of the living God, the sons of the living power, right? Like the heavenly Father, Yahweh. Then shall the children of Judah and the children of Israel be gathered together, right? And appoint themselves one head, and they shall come up out of the land, for great shall be the day of judgment. Okay, great shall be the day of judgment, which is God's right holiday. All right, and that's going to be the great deliverance of the nation of Israel. Great deliverance of the nation of Israel. This is Hosea 3, verse 4. It says, for the children of Israel shall abide many days without a king, without a prince, and without a sacrifice, and without image, and without ephod, and without a terror. Afterwards shall the children of Israel return and seek the Lord power, while shall shine their power, and David their king, and shall fear the Lord with power, while shall shine goodness in latter days, which is what's going on now. We're seeking the goodness of the Lord through what the prophets, they're coming to teach the people, right? They're teaching the people what to repent. And this is the nationality, right? And
Talking to yourself, yo.
I'm reporting right
I'm
now.
so sorry, bro.
Reporting.
I'm sorry, bro. I didn't even know. I said, man, I hope brother, all right.
No.
I apologize, sir.
Verse 5, afterwards shall the children of Israel return, seek the Lord with power, while shall shine the power. They shall fear the Lord for how well shine, and his goodness, latter day. Okay, so the prophets of the Lord are revealing returning. Okay, they're the ones returning the nation of Israel back to their faith. And we can get to see on the sign. We have Peter, Benjamin, Levi, Simeon, Zebulun, Ephraim, Manasseh, Gad, Reuben, Naphtali, Ashley, Ishmael. Okay, all those different tribes, right? They represent a nation for the nation of Israel. Okay, those people on the sign, right? We have the fake nationalities, Negroes, West Indians, Haitians, right? Dominicans, Guatemalans, Zebulons, right? Panamanians, Puerto Ricans, Cubans, North American Indians, Seminole Indians, and so on and so forth. Okay, so so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, Seminoles, and also the Israelite foreigners. You got the Irish, the Ghanaians, right? The Scottish, the Italians, the Poles, right? Even some of the Somalis are Israelites. Now, Junior, the South Africans, right? Some of the Japanese, right? The Koreans, the South Koreans, the Iranians, right? The Syrians, right? Those who are Kazakhstan, right? Tajikistan, okay? So this folks everywhere, right? But the Lord is only looking for the elect. He's looking for the cream of the crop. He's looking for that chosen bunch. Yeah, this is Zephaniah 3 verse 11 says, in that day, right, shalt thou not be ashamed for all thy doings, wherein thou hast transgressed against them. Okay, then I will take away out of the midst of thee them that rejoice in thy pride. And thou shalt no longer be ultimate because of the mountain. I will bring time, right? Israel was, you know, host. They are hosts to be prideful on the holy mountain of the Lord. Okay. Verse 12, I will also leave in the midst of thee and afflicted and poor people, and they shall trust in the name of the pain out by some shine, right? We shall afflicted and poor people. It's called Israel. Okay. It's talking about the nation of Israel because the nation of Israel have been afflicted. Why? Because the Lord was afflicting them for their sins, for their iniquities, for them going on. Verse 13, the remnant of Israel shall not do iniquity, nor speak lies, neither shall a deceitful tongue be found in their mouth. They shall feed and lie down, and none shall make them afraid. So the remnant of Israel shall not do iniquity, nor speak lies. Okay, the remnant of Israel shall not do iniquity, nor speak lies, because Israel, right, the elect of the nation of Israel was what? Kept as that chaste virgin. Okay, they were that virgin that the Lord kept close, right? And they stayed away from any other philosophy. That's why it says in the book of Revelation, 14th chapter, it says what? They were like, virgins, without fault, before they had the prophet. They were found blameless before the hourglass. Okay, verse 15 says, the Lord, hourglass shy, has taken away thy judgment. He has cast out thy enemy. Right, the enemy is talking about the sword, right? So I really him because he's the one that has been afflicted, right? So let's talk about that he has $40 affliction. He has, talking about after slavery, he's still $40 affliction. King of Israel, the rule of power, while Shai is in the midst of it, thou shalt not see the people in war. In that day it shall be said to Jerusalem, fear thou not, but to Zion, let not thy hands be slack, because why? Your hands are slack, right? Because it's going on. Your hands are working, right? It's like how that somebody using great justice work when to produce something. Hands produce. That's why companies they hire a lot of people so they can produce output, which generates revenue. So it's the same thing here with the Heavenly Father, right? We're working in this vineyard, right? So he's talking about saying MTV and bring more labor. Obviously, so we're bringing in more by bringing out the preaching, calling out to the elect, saying, look, come in. Now's the time to come in. For what? For his house to be filled. Okay? Since the Lord outside has taken away thy judgment, he has cast down thy enemy, the king of Israel, even the Lord in power. God Shai is in the midst of thee. Thou shalt not see evil anymore. In that day it shall be said to Jerusalem, fear thou not, and to Zion, let not thy hands be slack, right? Which Zion represents the Hebrew to Zion, which means a monument, which is a memorial. It's a memorial as a remembrance for the nation of Israel. Take to remember, saying, look, Zion is for what? Israel to remember. And in fact, we go to that word, right? We actually need a monument, it's the actual mountain. We have something called Mount Zion. All right. We have something that's called Mount Zion. Verse 17, it says, the Lord power, thy power, and this up is mighty, save and just over. Joy, the rest of the world, and joy over the sea. You know, okay. He rejoices over you with joy. He will rest in his love. He will joy over you with singing. I'll gather them that are sorrowful for the solemn assembly who are ugly, right? That's the elect. You know, you are the ones that are vexed, right? With that same anger Lot had in the ancient when he was seeing the things going on, seeing a man with a man out in the streets. Say, what type of foolishness is this? You know, the Lord is calling out those that have an issue with society, those that are not comfortable with it. That's how you know a righteous man, someone who's not comfortable with the wickedness around him. Okay? Who are up to whom the approach of it was a burden. Behold, at that time I would undo all that afflict you, right? And so that do everything, right? Us being slavery, those that afflict us. And I'll save those that hopeful. They got a word that was given out. And I'll give them praise, fame, in every land where they have been put to shame. So in the land of our captivity, we're going to get what? Praise and shame. That's the second book of Acts. Right? The second book of Acts, where we go out preaching, doing the work of the Lord, casting out devils. Who we have received, we have given. This one at that time, will I bring you again, even in the time that I gather you? For I'll make you a name and praise that all people will, right? Then is the word beautified, humble, you know, exalted. When I turn back to captivity before your eyes see the Lord's power about to shine. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the restoration of Israel. Okay? It says in the book of Sad, I think it's in the book of Ezekiel, it says we have no continual sitting, but we sit forth one to come. You know, we have no continual sitting, so we sit one to come. So that continual city is the nation of Israel. It shows what Isaiah 35:17, right? Israel shall be saved with everlasting salvation. It shall not be tried to go ashamed, glory without end. Okay? Glory without end. So the how about Shai has a place within Israel, right? They have reserved a place for us. Like a society where our children are going to go out on the streets, like that's in the book of Isaiah. Okay, you know, children to get a new things, they're going to be celebrated. All right, he's going to do things for Israel, and that's to the death that we had is going to be taken away from us. Okay, that's to the death is going to be taken away from us, but we're going to be good, you know, forever. All right. So I'm going to end off there. It's getting a little slow, chilly. Down to give all praise, honor, and glory due to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushua, Hashem, Rakah HaKadosh, giving double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone. God, peace, blessings, and salutations for her. Shalom. Deuces.